Good morning. Welcome to Out of Spec Motoring. Here we have two brand new Hyundai Kona electrics. Both are same mechanically 64 kilowatt hour battery pack, DC fast charging as standard. Pretty much the shells are the same, but this one is the SEL, the base model in the United States. And this one is the ultimate, the expensive, top trim, every option Kona electric. And we're gonna see, is the price difference between the two worth it? So there's a big price difference between these cars. The SEL starts at just about $37,000 and the Ultimate at $45,000. So that's what, $7,000, $8,000 difference between the two cars, and we're gonna go through exactly what you get for $8,000 and is it really worth it? I'm not sure yet. Again, this is my first time playing around with the Konas. If you stick around on our channel, I'm driving this car, the Ultimate, all the way from here in Stamford, Connecticut to Marco Island, Florida, which is about as south as you can go on the West Coast. And we're gonna be doing that as soon as I'm done making this video. So for $37,000, you really do get a lot of kit as standard in the SEL trim. I'm actually impressed with all of the technology Hyundai has offered included into their base trim. Let me walk you through a couple things that stood out to me. Blind spot monitoring as standard on a vehicle is great. It has a little light in the mirror here. We'll see that on a road trip to Florida. When there's a car in your blind spot, it won't let you move over, or I should say it will warn you before moving over. Rear cross traffic alert is another great feature. If you're backing out of a parking space and a car's coming, it will warn you and let you know, hey, don't back up, someone's coming. You also get forward collision warning as standard. Although a fun caveat, no, not fun, but weird caveat about that one is on the Ultimate, you get pedestrian included, which means this car will only brake for other vehicles, whereas the Ultimate trim will also brake if someone walks in front of the car. So I guess Hyundai is saying if you care about people, you should spend more money and get the max trim. I actually don't understand why that would be the case. I don't think there's any sensor differences between the cars, and I believe every safety feature, if available, should be included in the base trim. So Hyundai's done a pretty good job aside from the pedestrian. I've owned a lot of cars with pedestrian warning, never once had them go off, so probably not a huge deal. The other thing that stands out as a great base feature on this car is CarPlay. Included in every Kona electric, you get Apple CarPlay. Not sure about Android Auto, but I'm an Apple user and it's amazing. I just plugged my phone in, everything worked on this car as it did on the other one. Now there are a couple things that Hyundai wants you to think are worthwhile to upgrade to the Ultimate for. The first being the seats. They are manually controlled cloth seats. Now that sounds pretty basic. However, I'm going to make a case that I actually prefer these seats over the seats in the Ultimate. Now those are nice, cooled seats, leather trimmed. Leather's kind of a weird material to put in cars. It cracks over time. But these cloth seats, very good. So when you go to move the seats, you have all your manual controls here on the left side. You can get places very quickly. And also the material is really nice. It feels premium. It holds you in very well. I believe, and I'm going to test, but it is pretty much the same seat design as the SEL. The other thing as the Ultimate. The other thing Hyundai wants you to upgrade to the Ultimate for is the 8-inch screen. Now you do gain 1 inch in diameter, but in terms of functionality, I can find almost no difference between this car and the Ultimate. The only thing listed on the website that you get with the Ultimate trim over this trim is HD FM radio, which no one listens to anyway. You just plug your phone into the car and stream music. Another funny thing is when you upgrade to the Ultimate, not only do you get a driver window one touch up and down, you also get a passenger window one touch up and down. That is so silly. It should be in all the cars. I'm not sure why they even try to differentiate the cars with a different window switch here. That is just silly. Now that we've gone over what the base model comes with, and it's actually a lot. This is a fantastic car. If the Ultimate never existed, no one would complain about the SEL. It's a fantastic value proposition. 258 miles of range in both cars, but for this price point of $37,000 is great. And actually, my father, who's been driving the Ultimate recently, has achieved over 300 miles quite easily just driving on the highway. Now that you've seen some of the features that are stocked into the base model Kona, the SEL, let's see what we get with the Ultimate. And I'm gonna run down the list and then we'll go into some of these in depth. The first you get is, of course, the pedestrian detection for automatic braking. We discussed that before. Why that's not standard, I don't know. The next one is LED headlights. Now, I had the opportunity to drive both these cars at night last night, and I'm sorry for not filming. The base headlights suck. The LED headlights kind of suck. They are good at low beam. They have automatic turning. When you turn the wheel, they light up the side of the road, which is a great feature. I think every car should have that. But they don't go high enough. They only raise, you know, looks like about 4 feet off into the distance. So the high beams aren't high enough. The low beams are, I wouldn't say bright enough, but acceptable headlights. I would say they're on par with my Model 3, which I don't think are great. Now on the outside of the car, something you get with the Ultimate trim that you don't even get in the Limited, which is the mid-spec, is rain sensing windshield wipers. It's so cheap for all the sensors for these things, but that is a nice feature to have. Is it an $8,000 feature? Absolutely not, but it is something great to have thrown in. You also get a sunroof, which, speaking about the sunroof, I drove to our local Starbucks this morning in the Ultimate, sunroof open, windows up. It's a nice morning out here. And it had the worst wind buffeting I've ever heard of from a car with a sunroof. So that means you just crack the back windows to let the air flow through and you're good. It even has a comfort position where when you open it, it only stops about 80% of the way back to try and limit this buffeting. But trust me, it makes no difference whatsoever. So crack the back windows and open the sunroof 100% in this car. And really the last difference between the cars on the outside is the black roof on the SEL versus body color on the Ultimate. I'm a big fan of this black roof. It should be on all the Konas. Looks fantastic. So I wish you can kind of combine both of these cars together to make one perfect Kona. Now, most of the money that you're going to be spending to upgrade to the Ultimate is going to be spent in here on the driving experience inside. The first thing are these power heated and cooled leather seats. Now the SEL has heated as standard. The cooled seats didn't seem to do much, but I will report back on our road trip when we get down to hot Florida with that. The next and biggest difference between these cars, and I think this is where most of the money will be going to, is adaptive cruise control. It's something that once you live with it, it's hard to own a car, especially if you drive in traffic without it. And you can only get it on the Ultimate trim. This is the reason why there's 2 Konas right here in our driveway at my parents' house. My dad bought the SEL thinking he could get adaptive cruise control, but it didn't do stop and go. So he thought it shut off maybe at 20 miles per hour ago, like his Prius did back in 2010. But in fact, you do need to get the Ultimate trim to get adaptive with stop and go. And it is a great system. I tried it this morning. We'll be using it the whole way to Florida. But that is worth a significant chunk of the money if it's needed for you. Now we're here inside the Ultimate, and to be honest, it is a nicer place to sit. The 8-inch screen has a nicer bezel around it, as well as the heads-up display, and just more buttons are filled in, which is pleasing. However, there isn't too much substance here beyond the looks. The heads-up display actually makes an awful noise every time you raise and lower it. Listen. Sounds like a giant electrical motor, and that's just unnecessary. I think heads-up displays should be projected onto the windshield and not a separate display that pops up out of the dash. I get they're trying to cut costs, but this thing's 45 grand, and $8,000 more than the base car you can put in on the windshield. If you like sound systems, then you definitely want to get the Ultimate. The base car sound system is lacking, but it is great for talk radio and general listening. The Ultimate sound system sounds great until you start really cranking up the volume. So if you don't like to blast the cars next to you with music, this is going to be a fantastic system. It is only 315 watts, I believe. Yep, 315, but it has real crisp separation of audio. Really good system, just not when you turn it up all the way. The last points are very small ones with the Ultimate, but let's just run through them really quick. You get a automatic dimming rear view mirror that has HomeLink built in, which is nice if you need to go through a garage. You don't need to carry around your little leather fob to open up your garage door. You also get wireless charging here in the center console. However, you cannot use CarPlay when you're on wireless charging. So BMW, for example, they allow CarPlay over Bluetooth, which I think works great. This car, maybe it does, but I haven't been able to activate that at all, and I've been trying. The last part you get is, oh yeah, traffic information here in the screen, but with CarPlay you'll be using Waze anyway. This car doesn't have any sort of electric road trip planner such as the Tesla does, and we're going to see how big of a difference that makes on our trip later today. You also get something called Blue Link Guidance, which is part of the Hyundai app. Both cars have the app with charging information. I'll show you what that looks like right here. You can actually have multiple Konas in your app. So we have both of these cars in our Hyundai app. You can precondition them. You can unlock and lock them, see where they are in a map. Good functionality, not as slick as the Tesla app, but keep in mind, this is still pretty good compared to other electric cars. So this brings up the question, which one would I choose? And if it was my money that I was spending on this car, and I didn't need to take a lot of long trips, because again, I don't think it's going to be that easy, I would go for the SEL. I think it's an incredible value for the money. The car looks the same, pretty much performs all functions the same. The only difference really is going to be the adaptive cruise control for me. The heads-up display, and I'm a big fan of heads-up displays, isn't great in this car. So yeah, as your local commuter, city car, whatever it is, I would say the SEL, bargain value, save the $8,000 over this. If you want a long distance traveler, the Ultimate still gives you a ton of tech for the money when you compare it to other vehicles. I think it looks great. It's got, of course, better headlights, still not great, etc., etc. I'm a fan of this car, and it's actually the option, of course, my father went with after having the SEL. But I say this is the bargain value, ton of features for the money. This is the way I would go.